Good evening and welcome to Stamford Bridge. Stood beside this because I feel it's a fitting start to the evening. Not only is tonight hopefully the first step towards another one of those trophies in the trophy cabinet, but also the first step for Chelsea under Graham Potter's reign. A brand new manager, a brand new opportunity for some players potentially, and maybe one or two fans seeing Chelsea for the first time this season. Stamford Bridge is always a beautiful place to be, especially at the moment because the sun's out. We're still in a summer mood, kind of. I've still got a short sleeve shirt on, so that's fine. But tonight is all about one thing and one thing only, and that is Champions League football returning to the Bridge. Kings of Europe not that long ago, of course, a journey that continues tonight, started last week in Zagreb, and hopefully will finish on June the 10th, 2023 in Istanbul. Good evening and welcome to Matchday Live. Yes, it is another one. Big Champions League evening at Stamford Bridge. Ready and waiting Chelsea host Salzburg. Matchday 2 of this year's UEFA Champions League in the company of Abby McCarthy and Sam Obaseki. How are we? Good?
All good,
yeah,
all good.
Really good. It's that excitable energy that's in the air, isn't it, when it's a Champions League game? Feeling good, and it's a new era, it's a new dawn.
It is exciting. There is a lot of excitement outside as well, isn't there? And I think everyone's so ready for tonight, you know, an opportunity to bounce back from last week, an exciting new dawn almost for the football club.
Yeah, absolutely. New manager, lots of people are really excited about it. I know we're going to talk about that plenty more in the show, but you can feel it as I walked into the ground today. You know, the fans also really excited. Yeah, it's feeling good today.
A week is a long time in football, Sam. A very long time. It feels like a long time ago that we played Dinamo. A lot has happened since then, of course. But also, you know, it is a long time in terms of the manager's been in situ for a couple of days now. An opportunity for him to show what he's been working on with his team on the training field tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I've watched a lot of the interviews, the player interviews as well. Everyone just seems really excited. You know, Graham Potter, like we said, has been one of the most rated managers in world football, you know. So the fact that he's here now, the players have taken to him, he's been able to speak to them, tell them his philosophy as well. I'm really genuinely excited to see what happens.
Absolutely right. We're all excited to see Graham Potter's first team news as well. So let's head over to the gantry and Max Jones and Pat Nevin to talk us through it.
Thanks, guys. Well, Graham Potter's first game in charge, and he's not been afraid to ring the changes. But, Pat Nevin, positive ones.
Yeah, what we're trying to gauge at the moment is the system. I'm guessing a 4-2-3-1. We've got Kova, you know, there alongside Jorginho. That's a real nice settled pair there, and it's good to have them both back together. And we've got attackers, you know, Havertz is up there, as is Raheem. Mason Mount, will he be midfield or will he come a little bit further forward to be one of the three attackers behind Aubameyang? If that's the case, then it's a back four with Cucurella one side and either Reece James or Azpilicueta, although one of them could be centre back, one of them could be right back, or I could be completely wrong and Graham's done completely something different, you know. And it's been intriguing to see, you know, because that's quite a change. We've played back fours before many times, but you know, recently we've generally played in a back three. But that looks awfully like a back four to me. But how positive is that team?
Really positive, really attacking, which is great. Of course, Chelsea need to pick up their first 3 points of this European campaign. Looks like they're going out there with some serious intent. Before we focus on the attack, I do just want to get your thoughts on that back line. We had a bit of a disagreement before we came on air. I thought it would be Aspi as the centre-back. You think Cucurella, because of the pace in behind, maybe Okafor could cause a few issues if it is Silva and Aspi. I'm kind of leaning a bit more towards what you were saying now, but go on, convince me.
Well, the problem you've got slightly is you always want to have one really pacey centre-back, right? And Thiago Silva, I think, is godlike genius as a centre-back. I don't go for hyperbole too often, but I think he's just fabulous, right? But for pure pace, that's why Rudiger was always good beside him, and Christensen, and now we've got others. Now, none of them are playing. If Aspi's there, Aspi is fabulous, and we know what he's done for the club, but you're not talking about blinding pace there, whereas Reece has got good pace and Cucurella's got good pace. So the temptation to put one of those two at centre-back alongside Thiago Silva and then, you know, put Aspi at right wing-back, I don't know. We don't know. I wouldn't be surprised at adaptable. I mean, one of the things that a lot of managers are doing now, and we always forget about it, 2 systems, 1 game. When you're attack, it's 1 system. When you're defending, it's a different one. And you're a back 3/5 when you haven't got the ball. And when you've got the ball, it can be a back 2 and everyone else going forward. So I'm really intrigued. I think anyone tonight, we will keep you seriously informed with what's going on. There's lots of different things happening tactically in games. Having watched Graham Potter for over the years, it's always interesting. And this will be interesting, there's no doubt about it.
It certainly comes from that new school of managers, hasn't he? Like the Nagelsmann, who, as you said, they can just adapt, flip between systems. One thing which is slightly clearer is in attack. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has a real opportunity to open up his account for his new club against an unsettled back line.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 4 centre-backs to use, and maybe it's not the first choice too that they were actually going with tonight, but they're a fairly settled outfit. This is quite strong for Salzburg, so it's not a weakened Salzburg.
A few injuries back there. You've got Bernardo, who previously played for Brighton at left back. Yeah. He's having to slot in alongside.
He's played there a few times though for them, but you know, you're right. You're absolutely right. They're spot on. But you know, teams have to have injuries at that sort of time. But I actually look at it and say, I'm thinking Aubameyang up front. You obviously have Havertz and Mount, and then I start thinking, no, it's Graham Potter here. Aubameyang could be left. There's no reason why he might not be left, and Havertz goes up front. Or most likely it adapts. And if you find yourself out left, Aubameyang goes left, then Kai's up front, or Sterling goes up front. That adaptability confuses the life out of teams. We don't do it enough in the British game. Have a look at Manchester City. They do it all the time. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's confusing the life out of us, that's for sure. If this is how Graham Potter's starting, then I'm sure we're going to disagree over many things across the course of this season. Back to you guys in the studio to see if you can make any more sense of it.
Thank you very much, Max and Pat. And I'll be honest with you, I hope that Salzburg are watching that, because Pat Nevin's confused the life out of me as well. He's added more questions in there that I wasn't sure about before we through to him. But let's talk about the manager, right? And this is the trajectory that he's been on for his managerial career, by the way, which is absolutely incredible. Like, you know, he started off, his first professional job really was at Östersunds in Sweden, 4th tier of football over in Sweden as well. He took them from the 4th tier to the Europa League, the first time they'd ever been in the first division in Sweden, then to the Europa League as well. Won a trophy as well. Obviously took them to win at the Emirates against Arsenal in the Europa League a few years back. Then he went to Swansea City, really unsettled Swansea side when he went in there. They'd just been relegated from the Premier League, and he settled them and he brought stability to the football club. Then he goes to Brighton and he's done just magnificent work. Last season, their highest ever league finish, their most points they've ever accumulated during a season as well. So we've known that this opportunity, we'd hoped this opportunity would have come at some point for him, because he's a spectacularly impressive manager. And Sam, you mentioned a little minute ago that you'd already seen the stuff that he'd spoken about in the press and the sort of the behind-the-scenes sort of way that he talks. But he's such an impressive person. I think that's what's really intriguing as a fan, is you go, I buy into him as a person, and you see how brilliant he's been at other clubs. What an incredible opportunity for everyone. Yeah,
genuinely. And you said intrigue is like the perfect word, because that's what everyone's thinking around Graham Potter. They've seen his success story, but he was talking about it in one of his interviews where he was talking about, you know, going to Sweden and actually taking that leap at such a young age, and then seeing how his career path has gone. And obviously taking the Chelsea job is a big job. People question, is it the right time? Do you need another job before you do that? Champions League football, new ownership, you want to be successful straight away. And he's backed himself. And when you see things like that and seeing him speaking so confidently about the challenge, when he was talking about the history behind Chelsea, you can't not look at that and be excited about what's going to happen. And the fact that everyone is almost questioning the lineup and saying what's going to happen, it gives you like a sense of excitement. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I love it. It's so exciting, and there's so much excitement on social media as well, coming in from tweets over the last couple of days. It's been brilliant to see as well. This one's a great one. If Graham Potter can have a similar effect on Chelsea like he did at Brighton, it could be very exciting times for FPL players. Oh, don't bring that into me. Oh, I'm struggling already.
I need help.
Yeah, me too. Could bring a lot of variety in, differential budget options into play. Interesting to see how it plays. It's a really good point as well.
Top of our league.
Like we've seen already.
Am I?
I think so.
You're flying,
that was
Abby,
a fluke.
to be fair. Graham Potter, exciting appointment for Chelsea. His style of play and identity of his philosophy is something to look forward to. I think he has enough firepower to establish his ideas and propel the club to plenty of success, one for the future. And this one as well. Graham Potter is an amazing appointment. Excited to see how far he will take us. That is the excitement, isn't it, Abby? Because he's never been in the Champions League before. And what an opportunity that is to a statement of intent. Your first game as Chelsea boss in a competition that we've got such a brilliant history in. But it's excitement. It's more than anything else.
Yeah, absolute excitement. I mean, he's unbeaten in the Champions League, and let's hope it stays that way. And it's a magical start, because it's a dark art, isn't it, playing in the Champions League? I'm just getting started, boys. I could go all night.
No.
Our game will be better than my puns, so don't worry. I'm confident in that.
OK, good. Yeah. What does he bring, then? What does he bring to the football club? Because we've seen him at Brighton, but is it that case of a little bit we don't fully know his full story yet, you know, because this is a step up. That's the excitement factor. But also, like we said, that's the intriguing thing. You can't plot what he's done at previous clubs. He's played a back four, he's played a back three, he's played a five, he's played two in attack, he's played, like the boys said, 4-2-3-1. So many different things that we're asking questions. And we've all spent the last 48 hours researching and doing everything to find.
I guess that's what's so exciting, though, isn't it? His style of play is ever-changing. He's one of those managers that won't be afraid to switch it up a few times throughout the games. And I know at Brighton he made a few different players play quite out of position, and actually they kind of ended up thriving in that position. He could see in them that they'd be good at it, and they kind of just went with it. But I think more than anything, he's an amazing communicator, is what I keep reading. You know, this degree he's got in emotional intelligence. What a great person to have in the dressing room, settling your nerves, really talking to you, getting that game plan across. And the fact that he's moved over with a lot of his long-term kind of coaching staff as well, you know, they're already a proven formula, and that's now here at Chelsea.
That's a really good point, isn't it? Because we're talking about a master motivator. You know, we're talking about someone that understands people, and we've been guilty of that as well as sort of fans for a long time, just seeing football players as football players. But if you get the best out of the person, you get the best out of the player. And surely, if you're a player, to come in and you've got a manager that you know is going to challenge you sort of mentally as well as physically and get the best out of you on both sides, that's got to be something that you're really intrigued by. Yeah,
and you've seen it with the clubs that he was at formerly. You know, when you hear Brighton players and players at his old clubs talking about him, I genuinely haven't heard one person say anything that is negative about him. It's just always, he's a motivator, he knows how to get us going. We've seen the results that he's got against the big clubs, but not only the results, the way he's playing consistently. And at the beginning of the season, we're seeing it. And like I said, the fact that he's taken this challenge and he said, yeah, people have questioned whether I can work with world-class players. They're going to see now. And the fact that he's got that mentality is just amazing. And it's something that we almost need in line with the type of players that we have as well.
Completely right, completely right. Well, let's hear from the man himself. Here's Graham Potter.
Can't multitask, you know, guys. Like, speak and take a picture. That's difficult for me. I'm only a head coach, you know. It's the start of a really exciting period, I think. New ownership, who I was really, really excited with and impressed by. Firstly, as people, and then the vision for the club and what they wanted to do. Of course, the history of the club speaks for itself, but it's about trying to create that again in our own way. My career, I suppose, has gone forward, and I had a great time in Sweden and come back to the UK and had fantastic experiences, and it's just nice to be able to take the next step and to be able to work with an exciting group of players that we have here and compete at the top, you know, try and create a winning team, and that's a fantastic opportunity for me. It's an amazing history, fantastic tradition, historic football club. I mean, grown up with the fantastic teams of Chelsea of the modern era. You don't have to walk around the place here and you see the pictures, you see the trophies, you see the names. It's incredible, and it's a huge honour, like I said, for me to be part of that now. I like players to enjoy the football, so that's really important, that you can create a team where the players actually enjoy playing, because I think that can then transmit to the supporters, and ultimately the most important connection in a football club is between the team and the supporters. We like to play in a balanced way, in an attacking way, with good structure, but ultimately players have to feel free to make decisions, to express themselves, to be positive, to play with pride and enthusiasm, because yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity to play football professionally, and now it's about winning. It's about creating a team that competes, that has respect for each other, that is honest, that works together. So it's a combination of, I would say, football and human values that we try to work with. I think you have to understand that they're human beings first, and the key thing is to try to understand them, understand what motivates them, and understand what they're like as people, and then to try to, from that, try to come to some common ground, to try to build relationships, to try to communicate effectively on a daily basis, and build respect, build trust, build honesty, and so my starting point was always be the person first. I had a football career that I was very fortunate to have, that gave me loads of opportunities, loads of experiences, and then my education after retiring, I suppose, gave me a chance to put that into some theory, you know, to put some context to the experiences. Challenges abroad meant that I could widened my thoughts on myself, on life, on football, which was a fantastic experience for me. So all those challenges, all those experiences, I think shape you as a human being. They make you grow, they make you develop. I always think that in order to get better, you have to take a little step outside of what's comfortable. And our job as coaches is to provide the players that opportunity to do that. Everybody wants to improve, everybody wants to compete, everybody wants to be part of something. And I think our job is to try and create that environment where that's possible. I had a young family, and they gave up a lot to come over, and it wasn't exactly Barcelona or Monte Carlo. It was Östersund up in the northern part of Sweden, but I think that's what life is about. Life's about taking risks. It's about doing something that's a bit outside of what you're comfortable with, because then it allows you to grow and develop. And I'm forever grateful and thankful for that experience I had. It made me a better person, made me a better coach, and yeah, it's made me who I am today. So it was an incredibly powerful experience, and one I'm so grateful for. When we took over at Brighton, the team had just finished 4th from bottom, I think, played a certain style. Chris had done a fantastic job keeping them in the Premier League, and the remit was to bring the age of the squad down, was to change the playing style and to align the recruitment together with winning football matches in the Premier League. And everybody will know that it's the toughest league in the world. It's if you want to talk about how you can keep your message going forward, if you want to talk about how to convince people that you're on the right path, it's winning. And when you're sort of down the bottom, or you're fighting for that position and you're trying to develop the club, that's the challenge, I think. So we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot in the Premier League. You learn a lot about what you can deal with, about the ups and downs of it, about how you have to take responsibility all the time when things aren't going well. But I think we can use the experiences in a really good way, and we're a lot stronger and a lot better for them. Surreal, hectic, a whirlwind, exciting, amazing. A little bit of sadness, of course, because you're leaving some good people, but very, very happy and excited to meet some new people. So, whole range of emotions, but overall I would have to say really, really happy and very proud. It's one of those places that fills you with incredible excitement when you come as an away team. The crowd are always very, very passionate. They're always getting behind the home side. It's a really, really tough place to play. So I'm looking forward to being on the other end of that and getting that support with the team, because it's amazing. The atmosphere is fantastic, and it's something I'm really looking forward to.
How's the new office feel?
Very nice, yeah, very nice. Very nice view, that's the main thing. It's a huge honour to be here. I'm so excited, so happy. I'm going to give everything I can every single day to give you a team that you're proud of. Can't wait to get started, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all.
Welcome to the club, Graham Potter. What a fascinating interview as well. You get a real sense of the person that he is, Sam. And I think you already mentioned about players that he's worked with before, members of staff, and even fans of teams that support what he has. There is an element of he is such an inspirational person. It's such a fascinating journey to get here. But also, you have to buy into the whole story. You know, you buy into the fact that he's going to play a different way, and it's going to take a little bit of time sometimes to get there. But when you get there, you look at how Brighton are playing, you look at the teams they're beating, look at the way that they're playing, the players that have come through. If we get that at Chelsea and you buy into that whole philosophy, my word, it's an exciting sort of start. Right,
yeah, it'll be amazing. And like we said, you know, he's a person that buys into the human first. You know, they're humans first, and then their players. Obviously, they've all got roles to do for the club. But at the same time, he's understood with his amazing journey that's the best way to get, you know, results out of the players, and, you know, make the team have a, you know, family vibe. And we've seen that in Chelsea in recent years as well. So I think, with that mentality and the fact that the players have now come out and they're speaking about, you know, being in training and everyone's excited, it seems like it's going to be a recipe for, you know, wins on wins, and hopefully it will be the case.
And also, like, you just have to look at the success in the players that he's helped develop. You know, Marc Cucurella is obviously here now, but he was on loan at Getafe 2.5 years ago before Graham Potter steps in, and all of a sudden he could play in a back three, and he's looking brilliant in the Premier League. Tariq Lamptey, that we've seen go from Chelsea, looks unbelievable there as well. Alexis McAllister, who at the moment looks like one of the best players in the Premier League. These are players that he's developed on a day-to-day basis. And you look at the players that are within the Chelsea camp and you think, if they can get even better...
Yeah.
How cool's that?
Yeah, the long list that he's developed at Brighton is pretty impressive, isn't it? And Brighton have kind of always punched above their weight, really. And now he's come into Chelsea, you know, a club with world-class players. And if he can eke that little bit more quality out of these players, wow, we are onto something special.
Absolutely right. There's a lot of excitement, obviously, from Chelsea fans on social media over the last couple of days. If you've had your say, then make sure you make us aware of it, and we'll keep an eye on those as well. Personally, I'm pretty excited for Graham Potter. Nice not to go after someone just because they're a big name, Pochettino or Zidane. Hope he can implement some nice football and hope he's given time, which I believe he will be. That's a tweet from Nick. Sam said, exciting times ahead, really looking forward to seeing what Graham Potter brings to this club. Good work, Sam.
It's my burner account.
Graham Potter is an excellent appointment by Chelsea. He turned Brighton into an exciting team. He has been exceptional since he came onto the scene. Excited to see how he comes along. We have been told reliably that it's a 3 at the back.
Okay.
So that potentially means, and again, we don't know this, but if you look at probably Thiago Silva as Piliqueta or Cucurella in a back 3, then Reece one side maybe. I'm not sure.
Sterling on, but that's the thing with the way he plays. You can also anticipate, like Pat said, it's just going to be fluid. So when you're defending, you're probably going to see a back 4. When we're going forward, or maybe the opposite, you're going to see a back 5, and then when we're going forward, maybe 3 defenders, and then you'll just see the forwards interchanging, because he's gone quite attacking as well. You know, Mount, Sterling, Havertz, Aubameyang. I'm looking forward to seeing how they interchange, but also the fact that with him coming in, and this is his first game, he's going to want trusted players. You know, the club captain is playing. Thiago Silva, a senior player as well. James, we know how reliable he is as well. So I'm not shocked at it, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I guess that's what's exciting, Abby. If you perhaps go down the way of it's not about a system, it's about a way of playing. It doesn't really matter the formation. That could kind of be almost out the window in terms of your given zones on the pitch, but if you get the best players playing well, it doesn't matter what system they're playing in. Yeah,
exactly. You just need everyone to buy into it, and then we'll be flying. I thought it was really interesting in his interview how he was saying he likes to play an attacking style of football, but also making sure it's balanced as well. And if you look at our last few matches and towards the end of last season, attacking was where we were really struggling. How many times have we sat here and been like, we haven't taken our chances? So if we do go out all guns blazing today and the attacking clicks, then it's going to feel super, super exciting. That's been so needed.
Hasn't it? It's starting to get a little bit more exciting inside Stamford Bridge. So I'll tell you what, let's head back up to the gantry and Max and Pat.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Almost 5 years to the day since Graham Potter made his debut as a Europa League coach. He makes his debut in the Champions League with his new club, Chelsea. It's the start of a huge new era in West London. And he's a great fit for the club, isn't he, Pat?
Certainly, after what we've heard from the ownership, he sounds exactly the sort of person. In fact, more than the sort of person, the person that they were looking for. I like a lot of people, I've watched him as he's gone through an incredible build-up, a slow but steady build-up, all the way from the Swedish days. I had to look up the other day. I think I might have played against him. Would you believe?
Who would that be for?
Exactly. Well, I was playing for Tranmere at the end of my career, so he had a few games, and I have to check if he was playing, but he was certainly in squads that I was against. So, so it's come a long way since then. But what I like is the way he's grown, and he's grown in not the normal ways. And there's a word that they're throwing about a lot just now, holistic. And it's understanding not just people, but clubs in a wider, bigger, general way. And that's what Todd Bowley and the rest of them wanted. They wanted somebody that, wasn't directing down one route, just the single route of, pick a team, train a team, and that's it. The club has to be a whole thing. I mean, a thing that grows together, that works together. So, yeah, it sounds really interesting. Do you know my favourite thing, guys? He's a type of manager who loves growing players. Young lads that, you maybe have a position or an idea of how they play. You can make them better. You can change them a little bit. You might even change the position. And do you know what? Players, they're a wee bit reticent at the start of that sort of thing. And then they'll love it because they can see themselves grow.
We only need to look at the likes of Brighton, big Dan Burn, 6'7", Graham Potter puts him at wing-back. All of a sudden, he becomes one of the best players in that position in the league. A lot of the coverage that I've seen of Graham Potter's appointment has been that he's done things the hard way. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. His coaching career has been the long way. It's been the scenic route. But as you said, it's all about those different experiences and being able to pass them on to his players, as you mentioned, to grow them.
Do you know, a lot of people go in at the very, very top, and it's not an easy place to go in because you've not learned lots of skills. And I'm not talking about knowing the game, you know, knowing the right systems. Everyone, you know, in the game will know just about every system you can play and they'll understand certain things about players. But the emotional bond between players, the understanding how to get the best out of people, that's management. That's something deeper than that. That's management, not just in a kind of wider business sense, but in a people sense. And I'm sounding very much like Graham here, because that's what he is about, isn't it? And, you know, maybe I'm slightly biased in a way because, you know, I was once, people used to say to me, oh, you look like a dangerous intellectual, you read a book once. And Graham's a bit like that, isn't he? There's a depth, there's something else to him as well. And what he does is he shares that with other people and say, look, it's not that you don't think about football all the time. It's the fact that when you need the pressure taken off you, we'll try and take it off you by thinking about something else for a while when the time is right. I do like his thinking. I like this emotional intelligence thing. But you still have to win games.
Still have to win games. And he is the first Chelsea boss to take charge of his very first Chelsea game in the Champions League. There's a lot of pressure on this, isn't there? Especially with him needing a win to get Chelsea's European campaign back on track.
There is. But I've got to tell you, within football, it's kind of not really like that. That's what it looks like from the outside. From the inside, it's another game. It is another game. We would like to stay in the Champions League. He would love to win this one. But do you think he'll feel any different about the next Premier League game? No. Do you think he'll think any different for the next cup game whenever it comes? No, he won't. It's a game. He'll want to win it. He'll want to develop the team and he'll want to grow the team. But you're right, it would be wonderful tonight to start off with a win. We wouldn't want to be behind the 8 ball completely with 1 point or 0 points out of 6. So yeah, it's important. He's dealt with pressure before. You don't get here, be it Brighton or whatever, without dealing with pressure. And he'll cope. I'm confident.
Well, let's hope that he can mark this big occasion with his very first 3 points in charge of Chelsea. That's Pat Nevin's opinion on Graham Potter. Let's hear what the fans said about the new head coach.
For me, I think he's be a great addition to the club. I'm really confident about tonight. I think we're going to win by at least 3 goals. And I really feel that he's going to get the team together. We need sort of a new era. And tonight's going to be the night. I think he's going to show what he's really about.
So excited for him. You know, being an American, I'm really rooting for Pulisic to come in, get some more playing time.
I watched some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on YouTube and that, just a couple of training sessions. So I think the lads look good. I'm looking forward to it. Bit of a surprise, but out of all the other managers in the Prem, I think Graham Potter would have been definitely up there as one of my choices. So pretty happy, I think, yeah. So I look forward to it.
We just need to find that sort of pattern again, that very quick play. And Graham Potter's Brighton played like that. If he can bring that to us, get the lads moving quicker, Reece and Ben or whoever, or Cucurella on each side, getting that ball moving and then getting it into the areas that hurt people, then we got the players that can do it.
But I mean, obviously he's done great with Brighton, obviously knowing his history in Sweden and what he's done there. I obviously follow Chelsea on Instagram, so I was watching a little bit about, he did a pre-match interview talking about his experience in the Europa League with the team he coached in Sweden. Obviously he's done really well with Brighton. And someone I was speaking with also the other day was mentioning that a lot of England fans were hoping he was going to coach the national team as well. So obviously super excited about it.
You look at his history, a bit of time in Sweden and then lower league stuff, so it'll be interesting. Obviously I saw that he said, you know, big opportunity for him to turn down, which is true. So interesting to see what he's got. Hopefully he can bring the lads together. Got a great, we've got a great group of players, haven't we? So yeah, I think we'll be all right though. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you very much to Pat and Max up in the gantry, and of course all the thoughts of Chelsea fans outside. A lot of excitement, obviously. Let's talk about Salzburg tonight then, because obviously we've left ourselves with a little bit of work to do after dropping points in the opening day. Abby, let's have a little look at the table actually that will show it's not actually as bad as it could have been, because Salzburg and AC Milan drew on the opening day as well. So considering that Milan have beaten Dinamo Zagreb a little bit earlier on today, which I think we all fairly expected, not in a horrible way, but we expected that to happen. So Chelsea could potentially go back into second tonight, and all of a sudden the table looks a bit better. We've not made it easy for ourselves, but we've not made it difficult either. We've lost a little bit of wiggle room, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. But We sometimes do that, don't we? We make it difficult for ourselves. I remember that happened actually last season, didn't it, as well? So, you know, it's still all to play for. But Salzburg shouldn't be, you know, underestimated. The fact that they did draw against Milan in the opening game. I was reading up on them earlier, though, and they're definitely not as good away from home. They've lost their last few Champions League games, so hopefully that's going to be in our favour tonight. I mean, Stamford Bridge is roaring already, so...
You can feel it.
Absolutely. It's a big opportunity. Like Abby said, away from home, they struggle a little bit more. They've won their domestic league, I think, the last 9 years in a row. I think they've won 8 of their last 11 games as well in all competitions. In the league, they're brilliant. You know, they've got a number of players that are on the radar of a number of big teams in Europe. Obviously, Erling Haaland played for them not too long ago as well. So they've got history in this competition. At youth level, they're fantastic as well. So they're not to be underestimated. But also, this is Chelsea, this is Stamford Bridge, home of the European champions not so long ago. These are the nights that you need your more experienced players perhaps to get over the line a little bit more. Yeah,
you'd want to see a reaction and a quick reaction to just calm the nerves a little bit as well. But like you said, you know, they're a team that have got a winning mentality across all of their teams as well. And it's not going to be an easy game. I'm sure Graham Potter and a lot of the players are going to say that. Like you said earlier, we dropped points last week. We can't really afford to drop any more. So they know how important it is to get this win. So just got to go out there and score as many goals as possible. Absolutely right. If you missed the UEFA Youth League game earlier on today, by the way, it finished 1-1. Highlights will be available on the Fifth Stand-Up from midnight tonight, which is well worth a watch. Really good game. And again, we are expecting 1 or 2 of those Salzburg players and the Chelsea players in the future to step up to this level. But I suppose it's up to the current crop, especially from Salzburg's perspective, to maybe put a little bit more of a doubt in the mind, because Chelsea in 3 or 4 weeks is a completely different animal. You know, a team that's a little bit more settled under a new manager that's had a little bit more time to bed in. So tonight's an opportunity for them to perhaps put themselves in a much stronger position. Yeah, and I think they'll think that, won't they? You know, they'll be coming out wanting to make their mark. And as you touched on, you know, they're a team that have got so many exciting young players they brought through over the years. You know, Haaland, Mane. I mean, there's such a huge list, and those names get made on nights like tonight. So yeah, they're going to want to prove themselves big time. Pat and Max already mentioned it about maybe 1 or 2 changes within their starting lineup. A player that I think a lot of Chelsea fans would have looked at is Benjamin Sesko. Actually starts on the bench for them tonight. Who's very, very talented centre forward, and I think he's already on the cusp of a move to RB Leipzig next summer, and a lot of Premier League teams have had a little look at him. But Abby's absolutely right. This is an opportunity. If you're in the Salzburg dressing room, you're probably being told, I tell you what, this is Graham Potter's first night. Let's spoil the evening, make a name for yourself, and all of a sudden you put yourself in the shop window. Yeah, and that's what we said. We saw it sort of last week with Zagreb. You know, when you're playing against Chelsea, a team that has won the competition a few times, you know, have got history, you're going to use that game as a game to show the world what you're about. And you see that against the top clubs in the Champions League. So I wouldn't expect anything different. I know the players and Graham won't either. So it's just about making your mark and showing, yeah, we mean business this year. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. OK, now is time where we all get put into our box a little bit, because this is trivia. This is the trivia moment of the show, where we don't know the question that will be posed to us at half-time. We'll have to answer. We won't cheat. We don't do anything like that. Last couple of weeks, please. It's been a bit up and down, to be fair. So, OK, this is the question. Which player ran from his own half to score for us as Austria Vienna in our 1995 European Cup Winners' Cup campaign? It's a year after I was born. Dear me. Yeah, me and all, sounds OK, that's a tough one. Right, I mean, obviously, Dennis Wise in the picture celebrating. Yeah, I was going to say, is that a... Do we have to answer it now? No, we've got till half-time. We've got to have a little think about it. But last week in the gallery, we were told, through my earpiece, that we were told if we got it right, we'd get to go to Milan. OK, Milan away. I remember that, yeah. We were never getting it, OK? We were miles off. I'll be honest with you, I don't even think I was in the right decade when I was OK? I was that far off. And I have been reliably told that tonight is even tougher. So thoughts are with us this evening, but... Anyone help, please? I mean, Dennis Wise is obviously the first name that was on there. 95, you've got to be looking around 1 or 2 names that will have... But sometimes you shouldn't look past those images, do you know what I mean? Maybe the answer's staring you straight in the face. Yeah. And he was quite quick, you know. Dennis Wise scored a great goal in the San Siro. That's the song, isn't it, against AC Milan, not an Austria Vienna. It's not a bad shot. I mean, that's around the time Glenn Hoddle as well, in that kit, in the Amiga kit. Yes. 94, trying to remember players Glenn Hoddle. In that kit, that era, isn't it? This really shows us up as well. This is usually where we quite enjoy Jason or Pat in here to help us out a little bit. We made the semi-final that year, obviously didn't win it. 95, this is tough. I'm here for your help.
Yeah, it's good for us to show our workings out and how wrong they are, probably. But
it does show us up a little bit, and I think this is why everyone else enjoys it as much as well, because it does show us up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, we're in the gallery laughing. Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay. Yeah, if you've got any ideas,
you can message
feel
me.
free to tweet in. Yeah, feel free to let any of us know. It won't be cheap because we're using the internet. If you decide to tell us, then you decide to tell us and help us out. And of course, you can comment in the section down below as well. I'll be scrolling through that a little bit later on. Okay, we'll have to have a little think about that because that is a tough one. That is a tough one. 95 is nearly 30 years ago, so it's a long time to think back. But I'll rack through the archives. I'll have a little think about it. Okay, let's move back to tonight then, Abby, because tonight is, I suppose, in 20 years' time, we want to be speaking about that brilliant goal at home against Salzburg in the Champions League. Do you remember when Raheem Sterling beat 10 players and smashed it in the top corner?
So, yeah. Aubameyang could be his first goal for Chelsea as well, couldn't it? That'd be pretty nice.
That'd be nice tonight. Is that you think for you that would be the perfect evening? A Chelsea win, Aubameyang goal, good performance.
Yeah, I think so. I just really want us to put in a really solid performance tonight, one that we can be proud of, just because it's been such a kind of up and down few weeks. And I just want our attackers to shine and hopefully get a couple of goals in the process. That would be the dream evening for me.
If we had a tick list then, Sam, 3 things we want to tick off from tonight, what would those 3 things be?
A clean sheet, you know, fluidity between the attackers, and exciting football. That's, you know, just, you know, I was going to say excite me, but you want that type of game to just get you off your feet and get the fans off their feet, you know, singing for the players. And, you know, we're used to that at Chelsea, but, you know, these Champions League games, you know, they can feel a bit nervy, like we've seen in the past. Salzburg, like we said, they're going to be up for it. So calm the nerves a little bit, let us, you know, after a few passes, and then we'll be good. This
is quite a unique position as well, Abby, isn't it? Because of the postponements and because of the fact that we've got an international break soon after this, a World Cup within the middle of the season as well. It's a very congested season when Chelsea are playing football, but to have 5 or 6 days from Graham Potter joining the club to his first game, then having the best part of 3 weeks, I think start of October is our next Chelsea fixture. So you're not going to get that at a football club like this unless you join pre-season. So this is, I suppose, a good opportunity for Graham Potter as well to get to know everything, get comfortable and feel sort of at home before everything really kicks off. But I suppose for him tonight, it will be wanting to tick off a few of those things we've spoken about.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to want to start off as a new manager with a win. Of course you do. But the fact that he has been given that time, it's kind of accidentally been potentially perfect timing, hasn't it? The fact that he feels settled, he's had plenty of time at Cobham to get, you know, his message across to the players, them to get settled in his way of thinking as well. So, yeah, fingers crossed it pays off tonight.
Obviously, his first Champions League appearance as a coach. The last time we had a Champions League sort of debut as such midway through a season was Roberto Di Matteo, and that ended all right, didn't it?
It did. It did. And
I'm stretching there. Yeah. I'm stretching there, but
you know, I like stories, you know, like happening like that. I'm all here for the romantic stories. So hopefully, unbeaten this season in the Champions League, we win it again.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And but do you know, the strange thing is, because of the way that the season is, it almost feels it needs a football club that's adaptable and can deal with things. Yeah. Some football clubs need their structure, need their formulaic approach, whereas this football club is fantastic at being adaptable and being able to change things midway through a season, or being able to deal with things that don't potentially go the way that people aligned it. And when there are games being called off, when there are managerial changes, when there are things that are out of your control, like players going to World Cup and coming back, getting injured, etc., you perhaps need to be an adaptable coach and an adaptable team, and Chelsea are one of the best at that.
Yeah, it seems like the perfect mixture, you know, a manager that's versatile, he likes using different formations, trust people in different areas, but also players that are open to playing in different positions that helps the team. And with that formula, it seems like it's just the perfect, like you said, formula to work this season, because there's going to be so many things that are just going to take place, World Cup, injuries, so many things happening. So, yeah, it should be good.
Sam mentioned the word trust there, which Graham Potter mentioned in his walk and talk as well. He's big on that. But I suppose that's a thing as well. If you're a player that gets the shirt tonight, you've got an opportunity to earn his trust and say, look, I should be one of the first names on the team sheet.
I think that's what's so exciting, isn't it, when a new manager comes in? Like, there will be a bit of an excitement in the change room. It's a clean slate for some of these players. Some of these players have gone a little bit out of favour, maybe weren't kind of playing as much as they'd like to. People can come in now and prove themselves. They're playing for that badge, and if they put in a good performance tonight, then that's the best thing they can do.
Absolutely right. It's an amazing opportunity for every player that's come into the dressing room. Like you said, you know, there's a World Cup only a couple of months away, so the incentive for players individually is there. The incentive to get themselves in the record books as being the first goal scorer under the Graham Potter era as well, and being in a position maybe where you change your own fortunes, you change the fortunes of a football club. A week is a long time in football. What's the score going to be? One-word answer.
2-0.
Abby?
2-0.
2-0. Lovely job. 2-0. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious.
Bit
but
cagey.
Performance more than result. That's what we need. Let's get into it. Hand over to your commentary team of Max Jones and Pat Nevin.
And so the Graham Potter era begins when no previous Chelsea bosses has started. That's in the Champions League. The new Blues head coach does have continental experience in the Europa League with Östersunds. As we know, Europe's premier competition is an entirely different kettle of fish. Potter is no stranger to step